All right. What's up, CMQ investors? Hope you're doing great. I've never been better in my entire life. Living my best life right now. Make sure you can see this. I should adjust this a little bit so it's on brand. I've got, usually I don't do this camera. This is a little bit different. Let me up my seat here. So I'm well in frame, but hope everybody's doing well. If you're just joining now, well, you're not because you're watching live. But if you're watching after the fact, my name is Chris Franco. I am the person behind the content under the CMQ Investing banner. It started with the Charlie Munger quotes page on Instagram. Obviously, has turned into a popular podcast called CMQ Investing, and then now this YouTube channel, which has been very experimental. I do some things on here that I don't do elsewhere, and there's lots of comedy. Someone recently called it FinCom, which I thought was kind of cool. But anyway, I'm in New York City, if anyone's wondering that as well. But let me just see what happens. I just like to try different features, and going live on YouTube is a good example of that. So let me see if anyone joins. I know last time it took a little while, but we can talk about anything. And this is just getting me warmed up because I'm going to record some video stuff tonight about what's going on in the markets. Yeah. What's up, anybody? You can chat. I can't see you if you're not chatting, but feel free to drop any comments. Appreciate everybody who follows the channel. Yeah, like I said, this has all been experimental, so very cool. What's up, Chris? I heard I was busy the last couple of days. I had some family stuff this past weekend, but I heard that Facebook's earnings are out, and it was woof, as I said in a recent video. I'd like to read through the earnings call of that, see what's going on with that situation. Although I did kind of call it. I'm not rooting for non-success, but I don't speak up on stuff that I feel like I'm way out of, like I don't have any point of view, and I definitely know a lot about Meta. Um, I also don't want to go to the metaverse, so maybe that's just me. But let's see here. There's the Q2. I love reading earnings call transcripts, by the way. I feel like I learn a lot from those. Highly recommend it. And they're interesting because you sort of see how management is treating shareholders. Um, Chris says, "Is this the Kathy Wood Short Club?" By the way, I don't want to just pile on to Kathy Wood because I pretty much crush her a lot. Not that there's like a huge audience watching that, but eventually there will be. And Kathy Wood, Roku is one of her fund's biggest investments, and I heard Roku got crushed, which is not surprising if you just read the 10K. It's not a lot of meat on those bones. Kathy Wood, I don't mind Kathy Wood other than the fact that she's so delusional and she's so like just lures people in like, come on in, boys and girls. Well, we believe. So Kathy Wood is not my favorite person. Because Kathy Wood's the type of personality she has is a type of personality that gets people in a lot of trouble in other areas of life. Like if Kathy Wood was a soccer mom and she's like, I know a shortcut, kids. We're like, Mom, it's not this way, I swear. Trust me, kids. And she would just like drive off a cliff. Just hold hands. Believe. Good God. Good God, that's morbid. All right. While we're talking here, I've got my actual camera set up because I want to record about Facebook. The Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg. Hey, everybody. Our family of apps continues to grow as we continue navigating. Of course, it's going to grow. Facebook, I wish what I see, and this is like a challenge. How do I communicate the clarity I have about Facebook's business to others? I want to be clear. I made a video that I didn't produce or I didn't put out about the metaverse thing, how uninspiring it is, how depressing it makes me. It's very depressing. Hey, everybody. First off, I just want to say that in the metaverse, you'll be able to do things we've never been able to do before. Like, you won't need a screen. Everything, like, he's so mad at Tim Cook. And now that we know from this content, Tim Cook is a gangster. I mean that in the most ethical way. Here's the deal, Mark. We're not going to put up with it. I knew Apple had Facebook when Facebook put out a thing to advertisers that I received about how, like, if we don't comply, our app might not be able to be in the App Store. It's like Tim Cook's like, sorry, buddy. Whoops the daisies. Shouldn't have taken privacy so lackadaisically. It's bad news, boys and girls. Let's see what Zuck said though, by the way. I want to read this live. This is about Meta. Says that they're people are using Facebook more and more. That's good. They're seeing better engagement, not surprising. We seem to have entered an economic downturn that will have a broad impact on the digital advertising business. That's true. I'm in that business. It's not, it's bad for them more than other people. They're making long term investments. Yes, that makes sense. They're reducing headcount. They're going to get more done with fewer resources. I I don't mind Zuckerberg's leadership style. He's aggressive. He's not going to just tap out. Like a lot of people, I don't know. If I was worth $50 billion, I might just be like, hey, I'll just, give motivational speeches. I'm not so sure I'd have the same excitement anymore. He seems to be really all about it. He's like, I'm mixing up Tim Cook and Zuckerberg. I'm working on a Trump voice that's Trump when he's very far, like when he's outside and for a large crowd. I do a good Trump up close, but not again, just in case he runs again. Wow. Instead of people just interacting, most people are finding interesting. See, one thing I've noticed there's one of my dogs. There's Cash, the star, the YouTube star. Hello, father. God bless you, father. I love we have 3 people here. I appreciate all 3 of you, by the way. I wish I could see who's here, but I'm just gonna get comfortable and see. We'll just let it ride. It's only one way to do these things. God bless you, father. So I'll share this on Twitter. Share this with the tweets. I was featured on I'm jumping around on a lot of topics, guys. I'm just kind of getting warmed up, but I was featured on a very popular podcast. Um, Millennial Investing, and it's gotten a great response. So I'm very appreciative of that opportunity. It came along from the people who were part of that coming across this content and other places. So I definitely just check that out if you haven't. It's on YouTube. It's on all the podcast networks. Okay. Well, it looks like I'm not very popular in this live format. Maybe I'll go live on IG instead. But I'm going to stay here. I'm not leaving. I'm not going anywhere. Plus, this will live on the feed, and you guys can get to know me a little better. I'm based in New York City for those of you who are interested, and I'm just a regular guy. No, I'm not a regular guy. I'm actually an alien. Let me see here. So I lose the AirPods all the time. I've just given up on buying more of them. I always lose like one all the time, guys. It's pathetic. All right, I'm actually going live on IG for a second. I'll see if I can't double take this. What's up, everybody? I'm actually on IG live. No, I'm sorry. I'm on YouTube live right now. I will put a link in the bio. I'm just trying this out. If you guys don't know about the YouTube, paste that in the comments. The chat's a little bit better on YouTube. Don't tell Facebook or Instagram I said that. I'm going to record tonight, guys, we're going to talk about Meta's earnings. I want to continue on topics I've made a point of talking about with different videos, and that comes up a lot. So yeah, if you guys head over to the YouTube channel, CMQ Investing, and if you haven't seen the videos yet, by the way, they're wild. So yeah, Kathy Wood had a really bad day because Roku, which I've made fun of this before, people are always like Kathy Wood innovation. It's like one of her biggest picks is Roku, which is I don't understand it. Like I read Roku's 10K a while back, and I like that's Roku behind me, but it's just like it's pre-installed on a lot of stuff. It's not particularly I don't know. It's not. I don't want to knock it. Like I know how hard it is to build a business, so I'm not going to just trash a company like Roku sucks. What is Roku? It's like, well, it's a thing that a lot of people use, and it's it's a big part of connected TV and whatever. But I didn't quite see the beauty in the business as something that could be like an astronomical winner for you. And but God forbid you talk against the Lord, Kathy Wood. God forbid. Yeah, just believe. Just please believe. Please believe. If anyone didn't see my latest video on her, it's like a minute and 30, but I got a really good my editing. People say my editing's getting better. I did a really good like shaking thing at the end. I was very proud of it, and I've watched. I actually, this is interesting for a second, but somebody reached out to me who's a fan of the podcast and stuff, and he was in New York City, and he's like, "Hey, like, can I meet you?" And of course, I'm like, "I'm down." Like, it's New York. I'm not worried about getting like murdered. This I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't put that. I shouldn't even say that word. Um, but no. So you meet someone in public. It's not like I don't know. It's not like like, hey, yeah, come over to my home in some rural place. So I'm down to meet up, and you can kind of like check people out online a little bit. And so we got together. Very nice guy. He's a younger guy, 18 years old, just graduated high school. Very smart, really smart guy, and reads a ton. And it was funny because he was a real like straight face. Like some people don't show a lot of emotion in their face. I'm the opposite of that. Like my face is very expressive, but I showed him that video and like he gave me like a belly laugh when I showed him that, and I was like, maybe I got to keep making these YouTubes. Not to say I'm going to slow down the podcast, but um, the YouTube it's a little bit different, right? Like if you guys watch it, I do a little bit different. I can do more with like the creative and the comedy in it, and I think open it up to different people. But YouTube, for me to win on YouTube, and I'll just share this with you guys as well. Like, what's up, Tom? Is it Tomas or Thomas? He says, "Hi, I heard you on the Investors Podcast. Great talk. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that." Um, so on YouTube or whatever, I was going to say something. It it takes a long time. Not that I like doing it. The time flies by, but like I put a lot of energy into like the editing and just like going above and beyond. And sometimes in the short term, it feels like diminishing returns. Like there's not a lot of the return on like growing the podcast. Like that's integrated now. Part of like I'm building a business within that. YouTube is a little bit different. Like I have the partner revenue turned on, but that's not like I didn't expect that to be like some huge moneymaker. It just it was cool. I was accepted in the partner program. Anyway, not to bore you guys to death with this stuff, but I know some of you find this interesting. Um, but with YouTube, it's like I think it's just a matter of like you keep getting at it, and the people that I think when you have a multi-sensory experience, like when you get to hear somebody, see them, like the relationship that we're building, it's a little bit stronger, and so then it takes longer probably, but I think it'll compound in its own way. And if it doesn't, then I'm still enjoying it and I'm learning while I do it. So it's not a lose lose or not a yeah yeah. Kieran says video editing takes time and patience. Mad props for what you put together. Thanks, man. I got to share some of them on the quotes page, even though I might take them down off the feed after a while, just to like not dilute the Munger wisdom. But um, I know people enjoy them, so I want to make sure more people are aware. By the way, I'm on YouTube right now live. You guys want to check that out if you don't know about the YouTube channel. So Patrick's point, but this is on YouTube. Patrick says and he's being like CMQ funny. So he says you just need to talk about Tesla and Palantir over and over again, and how great TTCF is. So I know exactly. By the way, I know who you're referring to. Is that the tattooed chef? Yeah, that guy's. I've come this close to flaming that guy. Like you saw what I did with Kathy Wood. Not that I'm not trying to take people down, but I'm not big enough to do that yet. But like that guy's the worst. That guy would sell his family for $1. I watched him on some show. He said he's like his goal is to be a billionaire. Like that's a real red flag when someone says that, especially when they're not doing anything that like generates billions of value. Because you're like, this guy would he would like sell his family's organs. Um, and he always comes on, hey guys, okay, so here's the thing. And he's always like, I know exactly what he's trying to do. And it's just like so tacky. I'm gonna start just doing real big clickbait video titles, like those people that put up like their thumbnails say like warn your family, or no, everyone will be wiped out. I'm gonna take it to an extreme and put like like kiss your family for the last time. tell your wife you love her so because it's over. Build your bunker. Yeah, I hear you. I'm not trying to. I know I've done a lot of content on Elon, but yeah, the thing. Okay, so to Patrick's point, and this is a point about YouTube. So I know how to like I do growth for a living. I'm not trying to like I don't know how this sounds to you guys, but Like my whole life, I've made things like audiences grow around various things, whether it's stuff I started, stuff I was working for. Like my company does that, and it's built around like I've done this my whole life, and literally. And so, like with the Charlie Munger quotes page, Charlie Munger's not famous, relatively speaking. He's a 98-year-old person, and so like I was like, I think I can make him more. I can help more people discover him if I put my mindset into this, and it would be good for me too. And I wrote out why I did it before I did it, and I've shared that on our newsletter, so it's not a secret. Like my incentives were aligned with yours, and my point of bringing this up is on YouTube. Like as I started doing more YouTube stuff, pretty quickly I was like, okay, I'm good at data analysis. I'm good at like, putting the pieces together. And I realized what I would have to do to really grow the channel. Like if I want to make our YouTube channel grow, like subscriber growth, if I want to make that really shoot up, I know exactly what to do, but I'm not willing to do it. And I'll tell you what it is. So what I would do is I would make videos about different stocks that are all like really positive. Like I would do like my 5 favorite things about Tesla stock. And I would do like, because here's why, and I'll tell you why this works. For one, if you make a good video about a stock that people care about, like there's an audience for it. And two, what I found, and I learned this through the Alibaba stuff, people are looking for confirmation for their own decisions. So when I had some positive videos about Alibaba, I was like the hero of YouTube, or at least it felt that way for a brief period. I was like, I really like this is easy, right? Like some of my earlier videos that I started getting serious with it, were just like, and it's a niche, so I have expectations about how big it can be, but it was getting like some videos were getting hundreds and close to 1,000 subscribers for a couple different videos, and but then I saw something, I reflected that in my content because I'm honest, and it wasn't positive, and people were just like, I had negative loss on subscribers on that video. Not a huge amount, but like then also on Twitter and stuff, people, and not a lot of people, but some people were like, trying to say I was like a fraud and all this stuff, which is obviously not true, but like in the moment you take it personally because I'm a human being. But my point of this is you would just make positive stuff about companies, or you just make clickbait stuff about how the world's going to end. Like those two factors, that's how if I wanted to grow this channel in a way that's not honest, but it would grow, that's how I would do it. Because that's what the audience slash algorithm, from at least in this current moment. If you're watching this in 3 years, that's not the formula anymore. But that's it kind of made me depressed, honestly, not like clinically depressed, but realizing like, oh, it's just people are looking for validation for their own decisions. And that's normal in a lot of things, but like when the algorithm was showing me that so clearly. Um, and frankly, I think a lot of times it's for good investors, it's good to be really skeptical about things. At least that's been what I've picked up. And I think a lot of times I read a 10K, I'm looking for something to say not to do this. Like I built that bad business checklist, and it's like, it's reasons to not buy the company. Because going back to some of these big lessons, you don't need many winners to win. If you're going to play that game, the individual stock game, Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger have both said in their own way, like you only need 1 or 2 companies to make a fortune. Not many people do it that way, but that is like the most rational approach if you're, trying to find ways to make it grow up. Nick, I do consult a couple politicians. So feel free to send me a DM if you want to talk more about it. By the way, you guys are like, who is this guy? So Nick, the DMs on this page are a little tough because I get a lot of spam and the stuff gets pushed down, but my Twitter, you can DM me there. Chris Franco with the C, the DMs are open. And if there's a better way to contact me, let me know. I don't like, in the past, putting my email out, it's a bad idea because it gets on lists and stuff. And it's my actual email. And having like a separate inbox is kind of silly. Unless you guys have a better idea. So let me know. I'm becoming an old man. I'm like, it's too much to have 2 emails. It's like, I have enough trouble with getting one inbox to inbox 0, like two emails. It's just like, come on. But yeah, anyway, back to this or whatever we were saying, like, that's what I realized. And like, I don't think that's a good use. Like, I don't need to do that. And, so I want to find a different path to grow the channel. And I think just making stuff that you guys like that, might not appeal to everybody, but, Oh, that's a good Patrick. That's a really good cut. Patrick says, I feel like we need more info on how Buffett and Munger used to trade when Berkshire was smaller and there was a larger pool to choose from. Yeah, absolutely, man. I'll definitely try to prioritize some of that. It's tough because like I don't want to, I never just like spout off on stuff I don't know enough about. So sometimes if I say like, yeah, I'll do that, and then you don't hear from me on it for a while, it's because I'm like actually trying to learn it. Um, I have not read those books, Kieran. Hey, Peter Parker, what's up, man? Yeah, I'm actually on our YouTube right now. It's called CMQ Investing. CMQ, like Compound Money Quietly, or Charlie Munger Quotes, or Correct Mistakes Quickly. Um, yeah, I've got a lot of reading to do. But speaking of reading, we were reading, and Patrick, I just took a screenshot of what you said, so I have it in my log, my log of things. I know it's also different. Like the way that they invested back then is also just, they've said now it's a lot more competitive now than it was for them back then. Not to say you had to know things back then, but the one thing that stayed true is like still looking for good businesses. I don't think even learning the cigar bread approach is that useful to anybody because he evolved out of it. In the days of like finding really undervalued companies that people didn't realize were undervalued, I think that's a lot less common now, or it's the ability to do that. It's there's just too many eyeballs. Um, Kieran just said, "I wish more billionaires were like Charlie and Warren. They have modest confidence and respectability." I agree with that. I think that's what made me a fan of Munger to begin with. I was reading a Berkshire transcript in like I think it was 2015, and I remember just thinking like, "Wow, these guys are just like totally like making fun of each other." And up to that point, the only billionaires I was aware of were like like Mark Cuban or somebody like that. Not to knock him, but people that were like a little bit more like in your face. And I thought that was cool. Um, I see a thing here, therapy for a green market. Yeah, not therapy for a green. I know today is a green market, but we have a recession. Um, I was just also going off the theme of what we called the last live session. But I appreciate that. Appreciate that feedback. I'm sorry I can't. Sorry, I'm a loser. I'm sorry I'm so stupid. Rub my nose in that mistake, please. So yeah, I want to talk about. I got to do a video on Facebook. I'm just kind of getting warmed up with you guys right now. That I'm going to record. Um, I got to do stuff. It gets me motivated to talk to you guys a little bit, and also get all the cobwebs out so I can just sound fresh. I have a dog snoring in the background. Um, yeah, Facebook. I don't understand why more people didn't listen to me about Facebook. I really wish people did because I don't root for companies not to do well, but I really feel like I was very clear about that. People were like, nope, nope. Yeah, and Patrick, I'm sorry that I'm like again, I don't not none of this is like I own Voo, right? So I still have exposure to it, but like none of this is me rubbing it in anyone who's a follower of this face. I just my perspective on it was one that I feel like it's obviously let me put it this way, guys. My perspective on Facebook is one that made me realize like when you say you have a second level insight or like a unique vantage point, most often you think you do and you don't. And I've thought that about other companies before, but like with Facebook, I really do. And seeing how many smart people responded to the news of Facebook over the last several months and how they were still like Monish, for example, was like, it's an easy double. He's obviously a really intelligent person. A lot of you guys have learned a lot from him. So I'm not knocking him for that. But to me, I was like, no, this doesn't make any sense because the business model Facebook depends on is like it's not about yes, everyone's like they have a network effect. Yeah, they do have a network effect. 100%. But what they need for most of the revenue is for advertisers to allocate an increasing percentage of their budget to Facebook. And there's a lot of factors here, but there's the budgets are a little bit smaller and Facebook can't prove that it's the best channel in the way that it could before the Apple stuff. It's not as measurable. And that forces marketers to diversify. So things like podcasts, things like YouTube, things like these are other channels they have to put money towards. And Facebook, up to a certain point, because I know this for my business, like I was doing so much Facebook advertising because that's where for one, you could if you could get an advantage on it, it was a you created a legitimate competitive advantage for a business. Like I've helped a lot of companies get over the hump, meaning get acquired and things like that. Um, and Facebook was unbelievable, like a money printer. Like people, how do we spend more money on Facebook? My business, for example, it's not all we do, but like I think my online presence for it only talks about that because, well, because I online leads are usually pretty bad, but and my business is word of mouth. But it's like that's the breadwinner, and so it's like if you can allocate more to that channel and do it at scale and like not and make it efficient, like you're highly in demand for that. And over time, and I frankly it didn't hurt my business, but if it would hurt my business if I only wanted to do Facebook. But Facebook is still a good channel, but it's not as the case for it is not the same as it was 2 years ago. And people don't realize that. And they don't realize that the people making these decisions, these, let's say a marketing manager, marketing director, those are the folks that are really driving the revenue of Facebook. And what they use to make decisions is something I knew firsthand and probably as well, or if not better than anybody. And I feel like it was very simple to me. It was like, that's the simple. It's like I felt like, and again, I'm getting ahead of myself here, but I felt like, oh, this is how like Warren Buffett saw the simplicity in like Coca-Cola. Like, I'm not saying I didn't understand all the complexities, but when you get down to like the nitty gritty, it was like, if people drink this amount of liquid every year and the population grows at this amount and X percentage of the liquid they drink will be Coke, and this company has international distribution, blah, blah, blah. Like, it'll be hard to lose money on this. Doesn't mean it'll be like the greatest company ever, but like I did well with Facebook because I invested in it when I was like really in it. And I saw like everyone trying to put more money into it. Um, which some could argue it was too concentrated because you don't want to necessarily invest in like what your business is tied to. But anyway, as soon as the Apple stuff came out, it was like, well, just like Buffett taught me, when you lose the competitive advantage, like you gotta think twice. But people seem to be like, well, they're caught up in the network effect thing still. Like, but no, but they can do this with WhatsApp and Instagram is going to be bigger than like with Reels and all. And like that could be true. But at the end of the day, the decision on how much money they make from revenue comes down to advertisers and marketing people like deciding to put more money into the channel. And right now they have less data to go off of to feel confident in the decision. And Facebook's advertising is not as precise as it was prior to the Apple stuff. So anyway, that's what I'm thinking I'm going to make a video about today. And I don't like, and frankly, the metaverse, I think will probably be some sort of thing, but they're not going to be the only one. And I think, frankly, the metaverse, the way that they're talk about not getting people excited about something. It's not I'm not saying it won't be a thing, right? Like, but I don't want to go to the thing now that they're talking about. I'm not looking like that video where Zuck is like showing it off. It's so depressing to me. It makes me want to like sign off the internet. Spanky and Tilly says, feels like we're on the edge of an internet 2.0 downturn, maybe Facebook downgrades first time. I mean, I don't know about that. I mean, I look at this live that we're doing right now. This is pretty cool. And I'm not saying it just because it's me talking. There's a lot of different people who are interacting here. And I, we're doing it on Meta's platform. So I don't want to act like I think inevitably things become more immersive. But the idea of like, I don't know. I don't like the idea of building a world for a pandemic, like where everyone will just be in your homes and like we'll all go to work and your work. Talk about no boundaries. The way they made it is like you go into your office and like your coworkers are in your home with you. I've done VR before. One of my clients early on had one in their office, and I played around with it. It's cool, but it's not something like I'm a grown man. Like I'm not trying to go to like that's just me. I should it's just being real. I'm a grown man. I'm not putting on a headset. I'm going live on IG and Facebook. I think the meta concept, yeah, it hasn't landed. It's not been I shouldn't say they didn't market it well. I don't think people are ready for it. I think it's almost bad timing with the pandemic because people are really enjoying, from what I can see, the chance to be with people in person again. You know what I mean? And Kelly, hey, what's up, Kelly? I think the metaverse will be a thing, but it's like for Facebook's business, it's a big bet. 7 to 10 years from now, I'm not saying Facebook can't be the biggest player or a big player, but when I'm thinking of like when going back to some of the content I've made about how Buffett picks stocks, um, like thinking probabilistically, you want something that the earnings can be predictable, or at least as predictable can be. And the things that have to go right for Facebook's business, for their metaverse to be the thing, and that also to be a profitable business in itself that makes up for or adds to their existing ad business, there is a lot of factors that have to go right. Um, doesn't mean they can't do it, and that's what I'm saying. Like, no one knows the future. I'm very humble about that. But the metaverse, for the way they want to dominate with it, because Microsoft's going to have a metaverse if they don't already have one. And I recognize the gaming opportunity as well. I see people saying that, and I know that grown men play games and stuff. I'm not knocking it. Like, however you have your harmless fun, that's fine. But the idea of like living in a world where like I have to buy a wardrobe, like literally, I'm going to pay somebody to buy clothes in a metaverse like that right now. No thanks for me personally. Now I always say this to clients, like I'm a market of one. So like my thought on this, that doesn't matter too much what I think personally, but I'm pretty good at knowing what's going to work because that's a big part of how I built a business and how I've done a lot of things is like I've got a good sense of what is marketable because I market innovative tech. That's a big part of what I've done over the years. And so if you said, "Hey, you get to market the metaverse," I know there's an audience for it, but it's not like it's the timing of it's just not quite there. And so again, I'm just a person with an opinion on this. I don't. I wish I could be. I've read too much Munger and everybody else to be like, this is what's going to happen because no one knows what will happen. Um, Drew says, behind on the stream, but heard you on the Millennial Investor podcast and have been binging your podcast lately. Keep it up. Thanks, Drew. I appreciate that, man. I really do. Thanks for welcome to the CMQ investing crew here. Yeah, Jose talks about educational opportunities. I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that. I just mean from like how does it make money? Right? Like all the things you have to spend money on. And it's not that like what Apple's done with their app store, even they don't have a perfect monopoly on it. Like, cause not everyone has iPhones, but they take a big cut on apps and things like that are, sold through their distribution channel. What Facebook has to do, there's just a lot of what ifs that have to happen. I think just thinking probabilistically, that makes it challenging. There's a company now, if you guys are interested in looking into this, it's called Roblox, and Roblox is doing like they're kind of like metaverse before the metaverse. It's a publicly traded company. You can read about it. Jose says, "Can I say I have a good sense because I am the market?" 100%. Yeah, no, Jose, I think like that's totally fair. Like all of us are markets of one. Like we know what's going on. And when I say I have a good sense, I mean like my sense has been I've had to put like money on it. You know what I mean? I'm not just saying like, "Hey, I think I know it's a good thing." I know my sense of what's very marketable, and right now the metaverse is just not that marketable. It could be, but the way that they're kind of presenting it now, I think timing's off, and I think it's also just not that compelling, given that we just came out of a pandemic where people felt very like, hold up. DM says, "Are you shorting Facebook?" I don't short any stocks. Maybe I should, but I'm just something about like betting for companies to lose is not. It doesn't appeal to me, and it's a little bit too much of like playing games with the stock market. I'm not that kind of investor. Not knocking it. Like one of my favorite investors, Michael Burry is famous for shorting stuff. So I'm not knocking that, but I don't short. I just share my opinion. Thanks, Colin. I appreciate that. I'm on, you guys can see I'm on IG and we're on YouTube right now. If you guys want to, if you head over to the YouTube channel, we got the crazy chat. And this lives forever on the YouTube channel, I think too. They'll see my hand forever. They're like, "Ooh, pasty hand." What investors influence me the most? I'd say Charlie Munger, I think, to be fair. But all investors, like I've learned what's influenced them. So, thanks, Dave. Dave says, "I love your psychology of investing. So hard to stay the course when things are down." Yeah, man. But it's been, it's been working out all right. The VU has been regaining. It doesn't mean I wasn't nervous, but Charlie Munger, he was very influenced by Phil Fisher and Warren Buffett. Um, Phil Fisher is kind of like the less talked about sort of goat. You know, Ben Graham has some timeless concepts that both Munger and Buffett still adhere to today, but they more or less ditched his style. Warren Buffett even said, like, had I listened to Ben Graham, I would have made a whole lot. I would have made a lot less. Not exact quote, but along those lines. And yeah, Phil Fisher was like on the idea that there's not a lot of great businesses, so when you find one, like, you just hold on to it, let it do its thing. It's like that long term compounding. Um, let's see what else here. Kelly says, "What's the shortest duration you've held a stock purposefully?" Um, Good question. I'd probably say the shortest duration. I mean, I would say purposely, like, I've panic sold before, so probably other than that, but like Facebook. I held Facebook from like 20, I want to say almost like 20. Don't hold me to this because I've talked about it before. I just don't remember the date exactly. It was one of the first stocks I ever bought, like, individually, 2013 or 2014, and I sold it maybe a year-ish ago, a little over a year ago. And it was weird because I had, like, it was a little bit of fractional left, so I have like 0.0000, like 2% or something still. So I still see it in my account, but um, yeah, maybe that's the best one. Yeah, I'm excited. I think the Meta is a conversation for sure. My biggest panic sell was probably biggest mistake panic sell. Probably back in the day, I did it with maybe, was it with Apple? It might have been Facebook even. I think no, it was Facebook. I bought a lot more of it because then I was like reading Buffett and Munger, and I was like, you know what? I know how to do it now, and I loaded up. Like, I was my business was doing real well, and I had a little more cash on deck than usual. I was like, this is what you do. And right after that, like, the Cambridge Analytica or some big scandal happened, and like the stock dropped a lot. Zuckerberg had to go to Congress. It was bad, and I learned a really valuable lesson. And for whatever it's worth, only because I'm competitive with myself, I made it back, technically speaking. But it was a good lesson in that it helped me see that, like, the individual stock game is not preferred because, one, it was so unenjoyable, and two, I knew it also led me to really master the psychology. So I went on like at least a 2 or 3 year, like, binge of all things like behavioral economics. And that really helped me a lot throughout the pandemic and things like that, and still helps me now. I knew a lot of the psychology stuff for marketing, but then from the field of behavioral economics is really interesting. It's not that hard to learn. It just takes, kind of, you can relate it to your experiences. Um, Dude, Patrick, I like your humor, man. I like your sense of humor. Besides Robinhood, what's my favorite brokerage? Hmm. Would you call Vanguard a brokerage? You can buy individual stocks there, but yeah, Vanguard's my favorite. I do use Fidelity though, but I'm not endorsing that. It was something I set up a long time ago, and it's convenient. Um, so what am I trying to teach? I don't know if I don't think I'm necessarily trying to teach anything. I just try to share. Like, I get obsessed with stuff that I think is interesting, and I like creating content around it is a great way to really learn it. And it really forces me to know what I'm talking about because have to get in front of you guys. And no, it was a joke about Robinhood. That was being sarcastic. I hate Robinhood. I think they're a bunch of, I think the company is very low grade. Sorry, Jose. I don't think that I have, like, I'd say if I had to say, what am I trying to teach based on everything I've learned, I think that's maybe what you're asking. I think the importance of recognizing that most of us over a 30-year period will be far behind the market average, and the importance of bridging that gap over a long period of time can make a huge difference on the wealth that you have for yourself and your family. And thinking really rationally about how to do that. I think a lot of things Jack Bogle preached, I think those lessons still hold up and should be taught more vigorously. Things like the importance of low costs. Of course, I'd say the biggest lesson, and it might seem so obvious now, but CMQ stands for compound money quietly. Charlie Munger has said that compound interest is the most, like, the first model he mentions in his speech from 94 was compound interest. And I think, preaching that is something that, it's like our mantra is compound money quietly. Like, don't get caught up in everything else. Like, just remember what we're trying to do. You're trying to make your money grow year after year after year after year, and doing that in a way that is, going to ensure that you have a satisfactory result. Because if you do that for enough years, compound interest is not just about your money making money and the money that it makes making money, but it's about time. It's about the little minuscule improvements you make over a long period of time can make a huge difference. And it's not something our brains think of normally. It's also not something that anyone's really incentivized to advocate. Like if you turned on CNBC and Kramer was like, "Hey, just buy the VU and sit there," like there would be nothing to watch. And so finding ways to like share those lessons, but still make like entertaining content, that are that I think of things that are interesting. I feel like is a good thing to do. And I think, and also if I get out of investing a little bit, like the importance of just trying to be more rational. Like our brains mislead us all the time, and investing is a great place where you see that. But it happens elsewhere. So I think, pushing that idea, about just like what are ways to be more rational and how can we look at things, and like, not that I'm not perfectly rational, no one is, but sharing my thought process on that I think is useful. And I've learned a lot from Charlie Munger on that, and also been encouraged to do that more because of him. Um, he said that, being rational, it's not just to make more money, it's like a binding principle. You have like a moral duty to be as rational as you can. Um, and I think it's pretty cool. I'm forgetting, and I'll say a few other things. If you're going to do any, like the importance, I think learning about businesses is really valuable. Whether or not you're an entrepreneur, I think you can understand the world around you better, and you see the world more clearly and can see more possibilities. And I think one of the greatest things about where I live in the United States is like the ability to start a small business, and take control of your destiny that way. And it's not for everybody, and that's totally fine. But I think reading when investing is about business, because I think that's one of the best lessons from Buffett and Munger. It's like it's about businesses. At the end of the day, it's not about baskets of themes and that kind of stuff. It's about understanding what makes a good business good, a bad business bad, and why. And that process is one that it never gets. There's still more to learn. Like Warren Buffett is still working that muscle. But anyway, I got to get back to these comments. So I just hope that was helpful, though. Appreciate these questions, guys. Um, Yeah, Patrick, that's it, dude. Patrick, you're the man. I was thinking about that, I'd have to do it where I have to offer some analysis along the way, because I don't think I could like legally just like do an audiobook. But there's a book. This is really lame. I'm going to tell you guys something I'm a little embarrassed about. Um, so I've been really fascinated from the psychology of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. I'm fascinated by it because I've like human psychology is very interesting to me outside of investing, and I think like something seems off about that whole dynamic. And I'm like, what is going on here? And there's this book that just came out in the UK called Revenge. And I was on a road trip, and I found, um, I'm just laughing that I'm admitting this. And I was listening to some people like do reads of it, like they were reading it, but then they would offer like some commentary along the way. And I was like, this is totally valuable. And I think you guys would enjoy it if I did it the right way. But I'm screenshotting that as well. And I think I'd probably keep it in under the CMQ umbrella just to keep it simple. But yeah, I'm working on a podcast right now. It's like a 32-page article. Well, it's not 32 pages on my PDF, but it's probably like 16 pages. It's an article about Michael Burry from 2010. So I'm reading that and talking a little bit as I go. And it's really interesting. He reminds me a lot. There's a lot of similarities with Buffett and Munger. One not fun fact, but he lost an eye when he was 2. So he has one eye. And Charlie Munger is also blind in one eye, which just doesn't mean anything significant. Just kind of, there's a metaphor about like seeing things differently than others. All right, I can't. Sorry for everyone on IG. Sorry you're seeing this angle of me. It's probably not the best look. My thoughts on Intel. I'm not interested in it. I'm not interested enough to really read into it. Just totally honest thoughts. There's so many companies to look at. Here's the link, guys. If you're over here, I'm probably gonna switch back over to see YouTube totally. It's a little tough to keep my hands. Just my hand hurts. Has anyone from Charlie's camp reached out? Not directly. There's been some people that I think might be related that have said things like Charlie would be really proud of this or stuff like that. But I've kind of purposely not reached out because it's just sort of like not wanting to meet your heroes. You know what I mean? Like I have a guy that I've done some business with who's become a good friend here in the city. his father was on a board or is on a board with Charlie. So I know I could get like a letter to him. And maybe I'm crazy for not doing that, but I just I don't want anything from him. But I feel like if I know I'd like, is he gonna write me back? You know what I mean? Like I've been in the space where I've met my heroes in another industry. And but I definitely, I mean, I just hope that he's like my point is to like make him more accessible to more people. Like I'm not trying to obviously like CMQ is compound money quietly. I'm not trying to like, hey, the Charlie Munger podcast. Like it's about a lot of stuff. But anyway, Jose, thanks for joining, man. Appreciate your thoughts and for sharing everything. I hope my question about what I'm trying to learn was useful. Um and back to Michael Burry. I think Michael Burry said something. He saw Charlie Munger once and then he like didn't say hello because he didn't want to meet his heroes. Kelly, I think you're right though. I think there would be some value in it. Like I think I might regret it a little bit, but I also just don't. He doesn't owe me anything, so I don't want to be like. And I feel like I'd have so much to say in a letter. Like it'd feel a little bit like fanboyish. I don't know. I'm obviously overthinking it. Um, like what would Charlie do? You know what I mean? Like he never met a lot of his heroes, but it didn't change. Although I don't know. I wonder if he met Lee Kuan Yew. Um, Ty Lopez. Yeah, Ty Lopez is that Ty Lopez is he's a goofball. I'm not gonna call him a fraud because that's probably defamatory. But he's a goofy. Like I would never want to be him. A lot of people's heroes online, like entrepreneurial heroes, they're willing to make money doing things that I think most people would not be willing to do. Like you wouldn't be proud of someone doing that. Um, Evan, I like that idea. Like, yeah, maybe ask him if he wants to do an interview. I should reach out, but I don't want to get my hopes up on it. Because I do. I've learned so much from him, and I appreciate his wisdom. Like I've really taken his knowledge and like ran with it, and it's led me to other things that are that are not like I followed the trails, and so I don't want to like you know I'm grateful for where it is now. I hear one of my dogs is like sleeping. All right, what else we got going on? I gotta start making this video. Did you guys see the Kathy Wood video I did recently? I know if you're on YouTube, you saw it. Well, that's cool if you're related to Charlie Munger. Hello. I don't I mean, he's got a huge family, so it's not like crazy to be related to him. But I mean, if you know him, then you could probably say if it's worth even reaching out. Um, but yeah, I just like I said, he doesn't owe me anything. I don't, but I know I'd get my hopes up if I wrote him a letter. Like, please write me back, please. Um, I just hope, like again, my biggest thing would be like if he did check out the page, I feel like he'd be like, because here's the thing, Charlie Munger, he's like he wouldn't look at me like a fanboy because he's done the same things for his heroes. He has a bust in his office, two busts of Ben Franklin and Lee Kuan Yew. So like, there's nothing like I wouldn't be like, oh, he'd be like, who's this weirdo that made a page about me? Um, holy Marky, I will totally DM you, but I don't know if you're serious. I'll DM you as soon as we're off here. But that's cool if that's true. If not, it's okay too. Um, the podcast is obviously not all about Charlie, but I've done some cool stuff with it that I know it's helped more people discover it. And then, yeah, anyway, but that's, I've definitely been very appreciative of everything he shared. And I feel like I just came across his stuff. I mean, this guy that I had coffee with the other day is 18. And I was like, when I was 18, I had no idea who Charlie Munger was. And like, what a cool thing. Like, I feel like it's an advantage. Because Charlie's always been kind of behind the scenes. And on purpose. One thing I've shared before is that he deliberately like misreported his income to Forbes so he wouldn't be on that Forbes list because he didn't want the attention. And that's like for me, that's like why he's my favorite. I don't like think of like my favorite billionaire, but like that's the coolest billionaire thing to do ever. Um, do you think Berkshire wouldn't be the same without Charlie's mindset? It would definitely be different. Not to say that Warren Buffett wouldn't have been successful, and Charlie has said that, but Warren's acknowledged that Charlie was like the architect of the modern day Berkshire in terms of the idea of using the weight of their capital to buy really good businesses and just sit there. That took a very big. It also says a lot about Warren Buffett's ability to change his mind, because if you're Warren Buffett, right, and you made all this, if you, hey, by the way, you don't need it to split because you could buy Berkshire B. Berkshire B is the same thing. The same thing, but it's just like it's a less expensive version, and you can still use it to get access to the Berkshire means like you're still a shareholder. The market cap. Does anyone want to take that? It's the price per share multiplied by the number of outstanding shares. Where were we? Oh, so Berkshire, the weight of the capital. Oh, yeah, getting Warren Buffett to change his mind. Like that's not, if you're Warren Buffett, like you were like a prodigy, like you were the man. Like people were literally lined up to like learn from you. And so then to go out and be like, to then say, okay, I'm going to disregard like everything I've done to get me to this point. It's like he was going to be successful regardless. Like because that in itself is like they say, what is, if I use a model from biology, it's like it's not about the strongest that survives, it's the one that adapts, or who's the most readily adaptive to the environment, who responds to the environment, and recognizing that whatever got him to a certain point wasn't going to take him to the next place, and actually being willing to adapt. That's not easy to do, especially when you've been successful doing one thing. So I admire that a lot. Yeah, if you're looking for Berkshire, guys, do Berkshire B. I'm not, by the way, not financial advice, but just you're getting the same thing. It's just a lot less expensive. Like what's Berkshire? What's up, Simon? Berkshire B right now is that going for it? You can get a share of Berkshire B for $293. And I'll just say, make sure to read the 10K before you do. So you do the right mental exercise. I should get, it's almost 10 here, so I want to record this thing on Facebook and just try to make something that you guys can enjoy. Nobody Patrick, they think you're serious about Robinhood. Yeah, don't open a Robinhood. Fidelity's fine. You can get it through, I'm pretty sure you can get it on Vanguard. I recommend, if you don't get it, Vanguard. Buffett, so Evan says it's crazy Berkshire has no dividends, but Buffett's all about dividends. So Evan, it's not necessarily true. So yes, you're right. It doesn't do dividends, but what they do is they retain earnings. So in doing that, he's justifies it by he can create more shareholder value that way than if he paid out a dividend. He's talked about this in some of the letters, and it could be a topic for like, why doesn't Berkshire do dividends? That could be an interesting podcast. I'm just going to screenshot this. I need a big content queue. I keep talking about this. It's just there's so many things to try to juggle. All right, guys. I'm gonna. Are you sure about Vanguard? Because I could swear that I have individual stocks on Vanguard. Like I won't say what I bought, but I bought they make it a little bit tricky, but either way, I think Fidelity's fine. Just be careful. All of them, like they're all in the business of getting you to trade a lot. So, just don't be like, if you're trading stocks a lot, you're not doing the right thing. I'm saying that like from all the research I've done, there's nothing I can find that like points to that working out. Okay. Updated portfolio. I can do that for sure. I take a screenshot of that too, Evan. Evan, did you DM me about something about marketing? I didn't see it. I know you said like check your DMs. I don't think I saw anything. Yeah, feel free to nudge it up. Yeah, Spanky and Tilly, it's a CMQ investing on YouTube. It's growing. All right, guys, I'm gonna hop off here. Thanks for joining. I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys for following the page too, and all the questions and ideas and everything else. So Look out for content. I've got this interview I'm dropping next week is very it's very cool. It's very cool. I think you guys will like it a lot. I think it's going to bring more people into the fold, and it'll expand your perspectives on business and have some stories that no other investing podcast will ever have. Because I've got stuff like, if you have even a remote interest in hip hop music, you will like it a lot. All right, guys. I'm going to stay on the YouTube one for a second, but I'm going to sign off IG first. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out. All right. Later. You know, it's interesting on the Instagram. That was like, it said 678 people had been through it. That's pretty cool. I'll hang here for a sec, guys. I'm gonna oh, what's up, man? Alabama. So my cousin played Alabama football. It's a little fun fact. I saw him this weekend, actually. Roll Tide. I make an Alabama joke on an Alibaba episode where they're like, the professional investor said to buy. Was it the professional investor said to buy? He's like, what did he say? He was like, what are you doing messing around with them stocks, boy? He's like, Daddy, no. Look at the name, Alabama. Like about Alibaba. But he's like, good God, boy, you better buy up all you can. It's really stupid, but I'm willing to go there. Yeah, no, IG's good. Like, I've got a big distribution there, and like then with the Buffett videos page, like I'm gonna start. You'll see in the net, like as I close out this year, you'll see me start to like cross pollinate and see what that does. I hear from you guys, like we've got something good here, so I want to now explore it. Like you see, it's evolving like every week. It's like anything though. I'm trying to allocate not capital, but like energy. Yeah, it's interesting. That's interesting about Alabama. In a lot of schools are like that, I think. And I think like the football stuff has given it so much exposure. Thank you, Nick Saban. I like what sometimes when I was younger, like if I used to watch Nick Saban like speeches to get motivated. He's like, "Hey, here's the deal." He didn't say it like that. How did Nick Saban go? He'd be like, "I." He always says, "I." I make his ass quit. That's my favorite. Make his ass quit. Yeah, I could see that. Come on down to Nick Saban's and Mercedes Benz. Scooby Doo. I feel like that's a mistake though. Like, why? If you're gonna, it just happens. A lot of people make money, then they're like, let me go into this other business. Like, there's no easy business to go into unless someone else is running everything for him. But I hear, yeah, I mean, he does. I hear he does good things for the community. But I do. He's very motivational because he's a real. I like learning from like extreme success. I watched one video where he's talking to a bunch of like really young kids, and he's like, "I know what you're saying. I need my downtime." He's like, "I'm sorry for all the mamas here, but that's bullshit." Kids are just like, "Yes, sir." Yeah, my cousin liked it there a lot. He, like I said, he was a walk on actually, but he got a little playing time, and he's from Connecticut. Yeah, happy to do it, guys. I'll appreciate you guys hanging out, and this will be up on the page. You guys want to watch it? I'm like, look how muscular I am. There's that one guy, strong man. I'm like the new strong man. Yeah, so I'll probably mess around with some videos tonight, see what I come up with, and if it's funny or if it's like good enough. And then I've got it's tough making content like that. It's tough. I try to put out good stuff, and so it's just bear with me if it seems like I'm not. Sometimes I feel like I'm not giving to you fast enough, but but yeah, if as always, guys, drop some comments at any time. Like if you got ideas for stuff or stuff you want me to do. Is there a way to do that on YouTube that's really easy where you can just like tell me? If anyone knows, let me know because we should just do that. We need let's actually solve this problem before we go. How can you guys be like, yo, I have a thing I want you to do? Do this thing, please. because I can't guarantee I can do all of them, but I will. It's like I want to incorporate your feedback in a really systematic way, like a robot. Should I make a metaverse? Is that what I should do? Welcome to my metaverse. I think they have a community thing. I might just play around with the community features. You guys can become super fans. I'm like, for $100.87. Kelly, the biases? Yeah, for sure. I'll definitely talk more about that. I think the key thing is before we upload Charlie's brain to the meta, I know it's a joke, but like take Charlie's ideas and try to get them in your brain and then build on it. That's what I've been doing. And I'll try to like share more on that. Because he's not what Charlie Munger's a really good like vessel of other people's ideas. Like he's not claiming that these are all his original thoughts, but he's really good at like taking it and constructing it in a way that is usable. And I think that's like the lesson. It's like what are the things you'd want to put in that system? And that's what I'm working on this mental models course about. If it's good enough, if I have a high standard for what I put out, but like if I feel like it's good enough, I'll release it as a course. And if not, then I'll probably like share pieces of it. I'll probably share pieces of it on YouTube first to kind of get your feedback on it. But like he said, people don't understand what he meant about having multiple models from different disciplines, and understandably, because he doesn't explain it that well, but it's almost deliberately so. But it starts with just knowing the big ideas from all the big disciplines, and that like goes over people's heads. Because if you look at what most people say about mental models online, like the top search results, they're referring to mental models like in the academic sense, like not academic. How do I say this? See, it's what's tough. There's an idea of like, how does our brain come up with, how does our brain reason? Like, oh, we have mental models. Like that's a true thing, but that's not exactly what Charlie Munger means when he says like, you want to have 100 of the best models in your brain. And so I'll see all this stuff. It's like, you need they'll name concepts that are not what Charlie Munger's talking about. It's not wrong per se, but it's not the Munger system. It's not being multidisciplinary. It's like, I don't like people have taken that idea of like the man with a hammer thing and like you want a toolbox. And all this, like they've taken that idea too far. Like you don't want a toolbox with a bunch of tools you pull out. Like you want to know and have organized in your brain like the big ideas from different disciplines and see how they interplay. That's what I've been working at. And I feel like I'm uniquely qualified to one, figure that out, and two, like explain it. But I'm not going to just like put it out carelessly. Like not that I'd ever do that, but because it's also my interpretation anyway. Like, got clearly many words to share. But let me get to this. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for supporting the channel. And if you guys are new here, check out the videos. You'll definitely some laughable material that I think you'll like. And yeah, if any other questions, by the way, hit me real quick now. But if not, then I'll boogie. People are like, you lost us with the models. Love it, buddy. Oh, look who just showed up. The big YouTube star himself, Cash. What's up, Cash boy? Hello, father. Come here. Come here, big guy. Got so big. Oh. The YouTube sensation. Cash, who's your favorite royal family member? Prince Harry, father. Obviously. Ah, yes. What do you think of his wife, Meghan Markle? Not a fan, father. All right, guys. If that's all we got, then that's all I got. Anything else? Let me know. We got the big YouTube star here. Oh, when can I have my own channel, father? Father, I'm not wearing pants, father. God bless you. What's up, big guy? I heard you snoring. All right, folks. Thanks for hanging out. I'll see you guys. Peace.